does the most of the talking?
Yeah,
probably.
definitely Khan and Jan.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely these two get me.
Come on, come on, chatterbox.
Right.
What shadowbox?
Okay. Ready?
Ready?
Okay, guys. Welcome to Switzerland.
Thank you.
Once again, for how many times have you played here before?
We played once in this club.
Almost a year ago to the day.
Yes, yeah. And we've played two festivals, Bern and St. Gallen Open Air. Yeah.
St. Gallen Open Air. And what is, in your opinion or experience, a Swiss audience like, Swiss fans, compared to?
Yeah, great. I mean, they've been great to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think two of them, personally, of our most favourite festivals have been Bern and St. Gallen.
Oh, really?
It's beautiful. Both of them are beautiful environments, beautiful setting. And yeah, we had good fun on stage. The crowd was nice and receptive and warm, and we partied hard with them afterwards.
There was no rain in St. Gallen because St. Gallen is notorious for its rain.
That's what everyone told us, actually.
Both times it's been
Yeah, sunny.
sunny.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
You're lucky guys. Today you're playing in a small club, the Abart. Is that important to you, playing in front of a small club audience?
I think, I think it's. I personally would prefer to grow organically. You know, and sort of your fan base grows like this, and hopefully they stick with you throughout your career and are very loyal. That's sort of what we did at home, and sure, now we have a big fan base, but we have a very loyal fan base, which I think is better than just being a one-hit wonder or having instant fame. And we, obviously it's nice to play big shows, but there's a lot of aspects that we prefer about small shows. It's a lot more intimate. You feel a lot more connected to the audience. As
And
a
the
band,
band even, yeah. The bigger the stage, the further you get away from each other eventually.
yeah. Eventually,
You
you
in
play
your
it
little
via
bubble.
ISDN.
That's a bit boring.
Okay. Now you were talking about organic growth. Now this year you've played probably one of the most biggest audience you can potentially have. You played at the opening ceremony of FIFA World Cup in South Africa. Thousands of people live there and probably hundreds of millions via television. How did that feel like?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It's quite difficult to even fathom that the television audience was that big, that many people were watching. But I think, it probably will be technically the biggest gig we'll ever play from a television perspective. And it certainly was the shortest gig we've ever played.
Was it only one song?
Yes, one song.
And how do you deal with that? I mean, you jump on stage at the opening ceremony of the World Cup. You've got one track you can play, and if you fuck up, then
Well, that's the thing. There's the margin of error, or the margin to make an error is so great because they set you up in like 5 minutes, while another artist is performing, and then it's just play. There's no line checking. I mean, obviously you sound check the day before, but there's nothing. If someone doesn't plug something incorrectly or push the right button, suddenly in front of hundreds of millions of people, you're in trouble. So that makes it more nerve-wracking. But otherwise, I mean, it actually felt like the blink of an eye. We didn't want to leave after playing that first.
And with hindsight, that particular shortest gig in your band history, was it okay or?
That was perfect actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
It went well.
congratulations.
Exactly as we wanted it.
As Fabian told you before, we operate an internet portal here in Switzerland. It's called Jump on Stage. It's aimed at young performers who are not there yet in terms of growing a fan base and audience, and who want to make it. And what kind of advice can you give to young bands who hasn't played like even small clubs like Abart yet?
Well, I think if you have a passion for music, then keep going, keep persevering. If the reason for you getting into music is because of you want fame and fortune and girls, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. But if you're in it for a love for it, then eventually those rewards will follow. And I think
It's going to take you at least 5 years from your first show to get anything.
And
It's a long, hard
yeah.
road. Yeah.
Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. Don't wait for this elusive record deal or manager from heaven. You know, go out and do it yourself until you find something that can maybe enhance it. But just, you know, get on with it. Get on with the performing and touring.
Is there a tipping point, you know, when you start you say nobody's interested in you, then you have hundreds of million? Is there a tipping point, or is it step by step?
I think, look, I can't speak for other bands. I can just say what it is for us. It has really been step by step, and it's been a sum of the parts. It hasn't been one thing that suddenly made us massive. We've kept on doing things, kept on touring, and then all of these things eventually sort of culminate, and you get to another level, and then you carry on, and hopefully you get to a bigger level.
Yeah, but you know, is it the label? Is it the song? Is it the manager? Is it the promotion?
Yes.
Is it? Yes.
All of it.
it.
I think it's like a good song. If there's no manager booking your shows, no one's going to hear it. If you make a cool video but the songs are terrible, a good manager and a bad band, I think everything needs to be.
You need a good team.
And it takes time. It takes the years to build that.
Maybe at the foundation is a good song, but then you need the right people in place to promote it.
If I remember correctly, you started in 1998, 12 years ago. Do you remember any particular decisive or important moments in which you said to yourself, yes, this is it, this is an important step?
I think when we could all play 4 chords in a row without looking at our guitars, then we knew. Okay, now we're ready.
When was that?
I still have to look at my
Last month.
Last night.
Yeah. I actually remember in South Africa we had I think our 3rd single finally got playlisted on radio and started doing quite well.
Yeah.
And we went to a club it's quite a small town outside of where we live, and had a big poster up outside the venue that said, "Here comes the men." It was a big poster of us, and we're like, yes!
Yes.
But there were only still 30 people to come watch us, but we felt like something
On the other
happened.
hand, were there any moments when you said, this is no use, let's just stop the band and get out of the industry, find a job as a
No.
controller,
Luckily, teacher.
Luckily not yet.
guitar teacher?
I think, you know, luckily and unluckily, but you know, our growth was very organic. So even though there were times where there were 50 people at a show, the previous time there were 25. So there was always, in our impression, there was always growth, which made it worthwhile. You sort of, I mean, there was a stage where we wanted to stop touring the world because the first few times we went and. You know, you'd sometimes played 100, but you'd sometimes played 3, and spend lots and lots of money.
Lots
you know,
of time away from home.
Lots of time away from home, and it felt like there wasn't any progress. But we realised there's actually been massive progress. Those are just the teething phases. I'm glad we never gave up.
The end of the 90s was probably the last few years when something like the traditional music industry with managers, labels and record deals existed. Were you still part of that industry, or do you consider yourself as a band that started with the internet, with like the possibility to spread your music online, virtually, digitally?
Well, fair enough, our manager back home, because no majors would sign you know, rock bands in South Africa when we were starting out. So our manager back home created a very indie environment and pretty much a 360 deal where everyone sort of was involved, and he was management, record label, agency, which a lot of these companies are now sort of moving towards.
Mhm.
And I think what that enables us to do was to keep a lot of control,
Mhm.
and we determined how we wanted to disseminate our music. We determined who we wanted to work with.
Mhm.
If we determined whether we wanted to give away stuff for free, or, to promote the band, it wasn't up to some third party. So it wasn't because of what the music industry was doing. It was the state of the music industry in our own country,
Mhm.
where no major would sign a rock band.
There's no locals having a band that I know that's had a good major label experience.
Yeah,
All of them have got
yeah,
horror stories.
exactly.
A very